Hey, Joe here, your reliability man, bridging the gap between best practices and the reality that you live every day. Today's topic is insights to how decisions are made at top levels. A lot of discussion on this. Thought I would tackle it. It's an unusual video for me, but hopefully will give you some easy actions you can take to get sponsorship for what you're trying to drive in reliability and maintenance. So first of all, I'm going to start off with two scenarios. First scenario, we'll call this one wrench time. You're at 20% wrench time. You propose a kitting area for $100,000. You got this sales pitch you're doing. Hey, I need a $100,000 kitting area. And then I want to add a planner. Say it's another $100,000 for a $200,000 investment. But the business case is 35% wrench time, going from 20 to 35, netting 10 persons. You know, you mentioned that 6 are getting ready to retire in the next 6 to 9 months. So you've got a solid business case. 10 persons, let's assume it's $100,000 a person. So by improving wrench time and spending $200,000, you could save $1 million a year in labor costs through efficiency. And people will attrit out. So you have a plan for people to leave. You're going to have those ongoing planner expenses of say of $100,000 a year, but easy business case, right? Easy decision. But when you present this, you're asked for more data. How did you come up with the 35? How did you come up with the 20? You know, what about getting just a 30? Can we do that cheaper? What would it take to get to 40? You know, you're asked for a couple zero cost scenarios. You're asked to benchmark 5 other locations and what they're doing. You know, now's not a good time. Let's factor this into the plan for next year. And you're like, what? So that's scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, we're going to call this one unplanned downtime. Unplanned downtime on a critical constraint PC is 40%. The Pareto for that shows, 6 tall tulips, 6 main things that, about 90% of the unplanned downtime is for these 6 items. You show a plan to get it to 25% unplanned downtime for 40 to 25, which is worth $2 million in sales, a combination of sales, overtime, outside contracting, outside processing. And you have a plan. Hey, I want to hire a full-time reliability engineer. We're a highly reactive culture. We just, been talking about freeing somebody up for 5 years. We're not going to do it. Let's hire somebody. So the business case, you're going to hire this reliability engineer for $125,000 a year, and you're going to get $2 million back. Easy business case. Easy business case, right? And then you're pummeled with questions around, what can we do with our existing head count? What reorganizations can we do? What's a zero cost option? What can we do with contractors? It's not the right time. Hey, let's put that in the 2020 plan. How many of these things have you heard? So you get all these questions. It's an easy answer, in summary, very straight, logical plans are presented by people on what they want to do in these two cases. They're based on industry best practices, proven. You're not trying to put a man on the moon. These are things that are tried and true and that have a very high probability of working. But you're stuck in analysis. More data. Need more time. Bring that to me next month. We didn't factor it into the plan. What's going on? Well, let's dive into this a little bit. First of all, the plant manager or vice president, they're bombarded every day with big decisions. And most of these decisions are problems that other people couldn't solve, that they need other approval for, or they need other insight for. So there's no simple problems come to the plant manager or vice president. And the plant manager, I'll just use that term for now, they've been promoted over the years based on their instincts, their quick decisions, and being right more than they're wrong, okay? So they've developed these shortcuts of how to make these decisions. And that's based on history. Historical successes and failures form patterns inside of their brain, inside of my brain, and that speeds up the whole process. Some call that bias, gut, instinct, inner voice, whatever you want to call it. It is real, and you need to address it if you're trying to get that decision maker to, vote yes instead of no on an initiative you're trying to drive. I'm convinced that 51% of decisions are based on this gut. And when you're presenting a logical, thought out, graphical, data-based case for them to decide on, you're not touching on that bias. And keep in mind that a lot of your plant managers and vice presidents, they didn't grow up in maintenance and reliability. Several of them are not engineers, so they have a different way of thinking. Not saying they're good, not saying they're bad, but you got to understand that they are made up of their history and then their experiences. And when you present a logical case to them, it may not seem logical to them and get blocked by these biases, by these filters they have to allow them to make quick decisions. So we're going to go to the whiteboard. Okay. This is a repeat if you've been watching all my videos, but this is called the results pyramid, and it's brought to you by Partners in Leadership. I want to give them full credit for this, but what drives a culture? What drives these biases? What's inside of our head? First of all, experiences, our life experiences form us. Okay, they form our biases, they form our ability to make decisions. That gut, that intuition comes from our experiences. That affects our beliefs of how things work. So we have conscious and unconscious patterns in our mind based on our experiences. Those lead to actions and those lead to results. So what you're doing when you have that meeting, you're presenting the graphs, you're presenting the logic, those two examples we just went through, what you're doing is you're entering right here. You're having a discussion and trying to get them to change their actions and results. A little bit of that may be down here in beliefs, but not much. Most of it's there in actions. My belief is that you need to enter right here on experiences. We need to create experiences for these people, because I said, my gut says 51% of decisions are based on these beliefs down here, so you got to change the experiences to change the beliefs. All right, don't let me lose you, okay? I'm going to make this very practical. So let's talk about our examples. In the wrench time example, hey, let's go out and observe wrench time on a planned, kitted, staged job. You grab, the decision maker, say it's the plant manager in this case. Let's go out and look at one of these jobs that is just honed. It's just, you anticipate waste, you have every part on the kit, you have it staged out the area. So you invest 8 hours and you look at that wrench time, you look at how it went, you talk to the crew. It's a real experience, It's kind of like going to Disney World. It's an experience. Okay, and then the very next day, let's observe a job that's not kitted, that's not staged. The crew doesn't really know what's going on, something that you're concerned about. Now, this takes a bold leader to show the ugly, okay? But the ugly happens at your plant. You're trying to get your boss to make good decisions, and you're hiding things from them. So let's show them a non-kitted, non-planned out job. Just maybe it's an unplanned work job that came up for tomorrow. Just watch it go. And then on day 3, come back and do the planned, kitted, staged job. I think 3 is a magical number, folks. If you have one experience, you write it off as an anomaly. If you have a second experience, you scratch your head and say, what's going on there? If you have a third experience, you say, okay, this is reality. Okay, so that's an example of what you can do in the wrench time. Let's go to the unplanned downtime example. Okay, chalk circle observation of the critical PC. Stand there, watch the downtime, watch how the operators interact, the maintenance people interact, watch the chaos, watch the drama. Do that for 3 days in a row. Chalk circle, it's your most critical PC, it's $2 million. Come on, folks, we've got the time to do this. You've got to have time to observe, but chalk circle observation. And then kind of Pareto those downtime items, compare them to history, and in these examples, you just created experiences that'll change the leader's life. Leaders do not get out on the shop floor. They think they do not. These two examples I gave, I had 3 days on the shop floor. That's a dramatic event in their lives. So in summary, you must recognize that 51% of the decision is based on the gut, the inner voice, the instinct of the leader. You must create experiences that cater to that bias so that you can get an affirmative decision on what you're trying to sell to the leadership. That 51%, so many people are frustrated, but they don't even try to address it. Find an experience. Okay, now the lean-driven reliability approach in all 26 of my other videos are, hey, we are not going to ask for resources before we establish credibility. And that credibility is, let's get the free waste, let's get that first before we ask for investment. I use these examples just for drama, but to show you how a leader decides. But that is not the lean-driven reliability approach. It's use lean concepts, get credibility, get examples, walk in with $500,000 saved and ask for $100,000 back. So your lean-driven reliability task of the week is, hey, in this week's meetings, look at the people presenting, and are they catering to the 51% of gut or to the 49% of logic? And watch if those things, the leader, how they act based on the information that's put in front of them. Quite often the leader will during a talk will say, I remember back 10 years ago, this happened and this happened. And so that person somehow connected with their bias. Okay, so do that in this week's meetings. Watch this drama unfold.